It's April 1st, 2012, and no, this is not a joke. It's Mods on Air.
2 FPS, 3 RPGs, and 5 sim-type games.
Yeah.
I think you'd be able to come up with one here.
I'm actually pulling this one hard.
Ask all the people that need hacks to play Call of Duty. I could hear you groaning inwardly every time Sin's mentioned. You're just cringing.
Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 326 of Mods on Air, bringing you the weekend gaming news as modders, developers, and gamers ourselves. I am foyleman, and also on the show today we have with us GameKat. Hello, GameKat.
Hello.
We have with us Welshy. Hello, Welshy.
Hello.
Stryder is here. Hello, Stryder.
Hola.
And we have special guests with us today from the Ricochet team, or Plastic Piranha. We have with us Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, and we also have Jason. Hello, Jason.
Hey, how you guys doing?
All right, yeah. So, anyway, before we actually begin the show, let me remind you all that this show is recorded before a live audience, of which you may be a part. Anyone can listen and message about the topics as we discuss them. People are doing so right now. And for the topics that we discuss, when we do get to the topics, hopefully, if we do, Welshy will post the relevant URLs into the chat window in case you care to follow along. For the other links, we don't know where they go, so yeah, don't be clicking on them. And finally, for those of you who haven't heard the show before, there may be some explicit language or adult themes. Warn you ahead of time before everything really kicks into high gear here. So yes, we have a special show today. We have with us a couple of the people developing the game Ricochet, which we assume will be released this year, right? I think we're talking about late summer?
That's the hope, yes.
All right.
The way that things are looking now, it looks pretty good, yeah.
Awesome. And we thought we'd ask them onto the show and talk about the game, the development, some of the processes that went through, and we will be following this up with a custom interview. Welshy is going to be writing up an article, be posting it over on MODSonline.com, a follow-up article that may contain some additional information that we don't cover because we held a separate interview, so should be very interesting. So yeah, let's kick into what's going on here. So, Ricochet, a first-person shooter, new game, completely new, indie development. I guess we could call you guys indie team because you're small and first time out there and you're self-funded. It's not something that's being put together by EA or Activision. And guys, can you tell me just what would you say is a brief on the game Ricochet?
Well, it's a first-person shooter designed basically to bring the glory back to the old days of first-person shooters. I mean, when you had dedicated servers, you had mod tools, you had a game that was fun to play and easy to play competitively, as well as easy to play for the average person who just wants to get on and play a few hours online. We think that just bringing the tools and the means necessary to bring to get the community back involved in gaming is really key. Peer-to-peer and restricted dedicated servers have kind of fractured the clan-based communities. You don't see so much of the gaming groups sticking together so much anymore, and we're really trying to focus on that by bringing a good game that is fun to play, competitive, and promotes the type of community involvement that was there with a lot of the more popular FPSs that have come our way. So
yeah, so we're actually talking about a game that's going to be released eventually with mod tools, or out of the gate. You don't know when the mod tools will be coming out, do you?
We hope to have mod tools from day one. That may be delayed, just trying to get documentation together and get everything together that's will properly walk everyone through the steps and things required to get the job done. But the hope is to have tools from day one. I mean, everyone on the team in one way or the other has had a lot of experience with the modding scene, whether it's using Radiant, whether it's working with the BF engines and other things like that. We all come out of that, and because of that, we believe highly in the fact that the mod tools are absolutely necessary just to making a great game. So.
And in the end, with the mod tools, we're hoping a lot of people, I think, are hoping that we'll just end up with a level editor, which is through the Unreal Engine. You will be the assets that are necessary for the game will already be available. They can drop them in as needed, create the rest of the level, and publish it for everyone to use. Right?
That's the idea. Yes, and for we're using the Unreal 3 engine. But the actual level editor is almost identical to the UDK editor as well. So people who are familiar with UDK, will find jumping into Ricochet mod tools quite easy and quite friendly. And that's a major plus with what we're doing, is that a lot of, the UDK has been downloaded now a couple million times. So I think there's some people out there that have had their hands on this thing, and I think that will help just generate a lot of buzz with what we're doing, and probably generate some absolutely amazing content. I mean, and that's really the dream and desire, is to see people really, really, learn and develop their skills and something that they can sink their teeth into,
Now, custom servers, or how is the server system going to work with this game? Because you mentioned just really briefly just a moment ago what that was.
Yes, it should go back to the days of COD 4, essentially right around there, when you had the ability to change the config of your server, change the rules of how the server is going to play. I mean, there's going to be a lot of config options for different ways that things are handled within Ricochet, and which will be very similar to the way that COD 4 was, where you could go in and dial in how you wanted to have the server set up. And I think that's what we're trying to do is have a set of tools that can basically be edited and changed to the server owner's liking, so as opposed to just be saying here's what you get out of the box and that's it. We're trying to give the ability to change game types, change map rotations, change how health is handled in some instances, and a lot of the fine tuning that the games old games used to have. The same concept here we're trying to go for. So
does that imply local hosting then?
In terms of local hosting on someone's machine and then doing it almost a server out of your house or something like that, I believe so. Yes, I mean, we should be releasing the dedicated server tool, as a standalone app that would just be able to run on whatever kind of setup you want. I don't know we'll have Linux support for it yet, but regular PC server should be able to run it. So, to answer your question, yes.
Have you guys targeted the packaged box market at all with this development, or by that I mean like the consoles? Have you looked at that aspect of it, or are you developing strictly for PC?
Well, to begin with, we're strictly developing for the PC, and a lot of times you hear about games that are ported over from Xbox to PC. Well, if we go to Xbox, it'll actually be a PC port going to the actual, to Xbox. So it'll be the other way around for a change, But, using Unreal and using this engine, it allows for you to work with, builds at the same time. You can have a PS3 build, you could have an Xbox build, all going at the same time. They all require slightly different modifications to, the code and the actual design itself. I mean, meshes being the most important thing. You got to kind of dumb down your meshes for Xbox and whatnot to help out with that system. So there's different ways to go about doing it, but our focus right now is on PC. If there's success, we'll certainly leave it open to the option and the idea of porting it over to to those systems. It is it's not set in stone at this point. So.
Yeah, I found that working with the Xbox that actually the meshes haven't hit a limit for me yet whenever I've done some work, but lighting has always been an issue. Both, specifically like doing occlusion lighting or some other types of forms, and they seem to kill the Xbox with this stuff.
Yeah, any kind of Yeah, like cascading shadow maps and things like that. There's a number of different things that can cause, some performance issues. I mean, the basic design of the Xbox is fantastic, and it's one that's survived, how many years now of being in the marketplace, Yeah. But there's a point where those tools, have to move on and catch up and go forward. I'm pretty sure we'll probably see a new console here soon from them. In the meantime, the things like the 580s and the 680 cards and the 600 series from NVIDIA and EVGA, those allow the gamer and the companies themselves to push the boundaries a little bit and try to expect a little bit more out of their games graphically. So, which is
as most PC players do.
Yes, and then that's through time tested. I mean, it's something that's kind of a ritual. You wait a year and a half, and it's like it's time to go out and get a new card. We just saw it here last week with the 680 release, and that's spectacular to see. It means that PC gaming is seriously alive. If 680 cards can't stay in stock and on the shelves, I mean, that's a very good thing for the PC gaming community, I would think. So.
I'd like to ask a couple questions about the game itself, or the development, anyways. How long have you guys been in development?
Basically, we spent about 6 months getting used to UDK, and you could kind of call that development time. I think we did originally, but looking back at it, it's really more just getting educated time, I would say. And once we were extremely comfortable with the way that UDK felt, then it was time we approached Epic. We showed them some of the concepts that we were working with and asked them if we could secure an Unreal 3 license so that we could have access to all the tools and the ability to modify the base code of the game itself. And so that happened basically last March. And basically I would say a year we've been that's when I consider development to have truly started, was at that point. So about this point it's about a year into it, and I think we're about right for being a year into it. I think we're about where I thought we would be after this point. So yeah, about a year in at this point.
Stryder, cool. You said you had a couple.
Nope, it kind of rolled into one there.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, what about your backgrounds? You mentioned COD 4, and so what other games or what other experience brought you to actually build your own game?
Well, a while back, I was modding for Battlefield 2142. I had taken the Battlefield 2 editor, converted it, made it into the 2142 editor, and started making maps. And the first community map that I had made and released, I released it for one day, put it on a mirror essentially, and I got an email the next day from one of the guys at DICE asking me if I was interested in having the map released publicly over their next patch and in a ranked format and the whole 9 yards. And I said, sure. There's 4 more maps where that has come from, and I'd love for you guys to take a look at them all. And that started a relationship with DICE that went on for a couple of years. It was the Strike at Karkan remake, the Operation Shingle. Molokai was another map, Yellowknife, and I worked with Bjorn at DICE to finish the Blue Pearl map. And when I got finished with that experience, I kind of said to myself, if DICE and the EA are interested in what we're doing here, maybe it's something that we can do on our own. And and then that's sort of how the idea was started. That kicked around back and forth between a few people and a few of the original guys that were in that have moved on. But like Matt's and myself and a couple others had, got together and decided that we could do something, and the rest is history, really. It's been not the easiest of process, to get started. I mean, it's a huge project. The scope of the project is so huge. To try to take that on under 10 12 people when we first started. It was 4 people. I'm just not sure how it's actually got to this stage, but we're definitely cooking right now, and it's really nice to see that the team has come so far. You know, and that's my side of it. I mean, people like Zeroy, you know, he's one of the best mappers that I know in this industry, and you know, we're fortunate enough to be working with him. He started doing, you know, all kinds of stuff with the Radiant engine, and would have probably been lost without the MODSonline forums and tutorials and everything else that were online. You know, Pig was, you know, had his realism mods that he was doing. You know, John Sonnendecker is on the team. He was one of the original guys who got started with Red Storm and Ghost Recon, responsible for a lot of those classic Ghost Recon maps from the first one. And you know, and Chris, he's you know, community manager formerly with the EA Battlefield Play for Free guys. We all have an amazing amount of experiences. The other guy on the team is Alrences. He's basically the creative genius and mind behind the ball. James Tan is a programmer extraordinaire, probably the best programmer that I have come across, because he's just, you know, attention to detail is amazing, and he's you know, been on all kinds of games, and he's also a contract member of Epic staff as well, and is able to help us out, which is fantastic. And so the talent on the team, even though we're small, is rather large, and you know, the scope of the talent and the experience on the team is rather broad as well. So, you know, having that many people, you can say, well, they're not going to get much done, but with the scope of who we are, we're able to actually tear down and you know, take maps from the very beginning stages and make them into really, really great pieces of art, is the way I like to look at them, and you know, make the best kind of gameplay experience that we possibly can. So I'm really, really excited about where we're at right now.
Cool. Now, you guys are all self-funded, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you think about approaching publishers? Or did you
Yes,
want to keep everything internal and just not let somebody else get their hands in it?
Well, you just never know what you're going to do. I think it's easier to get a publisher's attention now that we've got some product that's, you know, really nice to show. I mean, the you know, the response at GDC alone, we had our booth was next to Nintendo's, and next to Big Point, I think, was another one. I forget exactly who the other big booth was, but you know, our booth was, you know, full the whole time. People couldn't stop playing the game, and you know, so you know, that drew an awful lot of attention our way. I can safely say that yes, we have been approached by a few places, and I'm certainly listening to what they've got to say. But that doesn't change how we want to go forward with this. I mean, we've started it independently. I think at this point, the biggest hurdle for us is more on the marketing side, as opposed to creating the, you know, the actual product. The product itself is, you know, really, really great, and I think it speaks for itself. But the big thing is trying to get it out and let the world know about Ricochet and about what we're doing. And that's not an easy thing to do in this age and time that we live in. That's for sure. So, well,
with somebody starting out, would you actually consider recommending a Kickstarter project, specifically Kickstarter.com? I think you know what I mean.
Yes, I do, and I think that a lot of people are getting a lot of great results out of that. I think that it's a way for people to feel attached to a project and find a way, you know, that they can follow the development of a certain team and that type of thing. I think there's some really fantastic ideas coming out of there. I'm a little more stubborn and a little more old-fashioned. I believe that it's, you know, it's believing in the power of starting something on your own and the fulfillment of that. I mean, there's just something, you know, that's kind of who I am. I mean, I've that's how I've approached my entire professional career, is you know, trying to kick ass and do something, you know, from the ground up, and not necessarily need all the help in the world. But at the same time, the Kickstarter thing happened sort of after we got started with this, and now that I've seen it going, it's something I would certainly consider at this point, because it seems like it's going to be helping a lot of great teams that are out there. There's 3 or 4 projects recently that look really, really cool that I've actually contributed to. So, it's just I think it's really cool to see that type of thing happening in this modern world. It kind of reinvents the wheel, sort of like the music industry was a while back, where everyone started recording at home and doing that type of thing. Well, this is publishing by the masses, and I think it's really gives a lot of power to the people and to the actual people who are making the games as well. So,
question from our listeners here, or viewers, what have you. One of them is, what was needed in the UT code that you couldn't access with UDK?
Well, it's basically taking it out of the shell. Most everything that you do that with UDK is basically a mod of, and this allows us to dive in and basically strip everything and kind of use it from the ground up. Not being a programmer myself, there are certain advantages that I've been told from Mats and from James, and but I couldn't sit here and tell you exactly what the coding advantages are. But I do know that it's basically trying to get deep into the source code, dealing with the native class stuff and that type of thing. So. But without sounding like an idiot, I'll leave it at that. So, I'm more of a mapper and a visual guy, so that's my side. So
no worries, we addressed it for them. Hopefully that answers your question, Ham. And one more: are you guys developing a single player aspect to your game, or is it all multiplayer focus?
Completely multiplayer focused at this point, and the reason being for that is we knew we were going to have a small team to start, and we figured we could probably do one or the other. And we figured that with a shooter, it's the more amount of people that are going to play a shooter are the people that are going to be able to play online and together. And so we chose the multiplayer first. The pricing point of the game will definitely reflect that. I mean, most games that are coming out are in the $60 range, have a single player and a multiplayer element. Ours will only have the multiplayer element, so the price will definitely reflect that, even though it's not a final price at this point. But I'm thinking it's about half of what normal games would be. So,
good.
And so that's sort of the idea behind it. So.
Or what about distribution? How you plan on? Are you going to just put it up on your own website? And if you do, what kind of security are you going to put in it to stop it from being stolen?
Well, this will be submitted to Steam, and
cool.
We feel pretty confident that everything will be accepted by Steam, but we're not officially approved at this point. But most people, when they submit, they want to have everything as close to final as possible. So our goal is to have Steam as the number one distribution center of what we're doing. We are talking with GameStop about using their distribution service as well, and they're very interested in what we're doing. And there's about 3 or 4 other digital download services that are actually
like Origin.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Did you think of that?
Yes, well, there's a lot of things that are in discussion. Let's just put it that way. Some things I can say, some things I can't. But but yes, that's the idea is to get it out in as many places that can possibly take our game, and we wanted to get it out to as many people as possibly can play it, and it's by reaching out to different digital distribution centers, it allows us the opportunity to try to reach that goal of hitting as many people as we possibly can. So,
what are you guys trying to do? What are you guys doing regarding piracy or prevention of piracy?
Well, I mean that's a kind of an issue that everybody works with. Where there's a company we met at GDC called Arxon, and they do a form of encryption on your software and type of things like that to make it a little bit more difficult, and allows some hard coding, kind of like a Python type setup, where it allows some kickback if somebody's modified the shell of the base code and that type of thing, So those things are still being worked on as we speak, but it is a major consideration in today's environment that we live in. So, but I don't think we'll be able to completely eliminate it. I would love to say that we could, but it's you see even the top companies struggling with that still, but we hope to have it in place where that won't be an issue. So,
okay, are you putting in some sort of actually, I was going to ask if you had some sort of logging in system, but really that leads to a bigger question. I know it's multiplayer, but will there be a way for people to play offline?
Not at this point. No,
Okay.
I mean, if offline, it's it's basically a shooter. You join your server, you have your standard round, and that's basically the design of it. So
Unless it's a local area network.
yeah, and
That's-
we will definitely be supporting the ability to
okay.
for LAN setups and for people to throw LAN parties and use Ricochet to do that. Again, that just is at the foundation of PC gaming, so we're definitely into that. So
Good. All right. What about you guys? You got some other questions here?
No, I think they've.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of there may be some stuff that we didn't necessarily bring up here, but we will be addressing a number of things inside of our article, Welshy, that we're doing a feature set. You want to talk about that?
That was a hell of a good segue. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I want to get Ricochet on here anyway was just to talk about the game in general. But the article that sort of Foyle is talking about there is we want to start running a new feature on the site, a sort of monthly thing, where we're calling it Indie Developer of the Month, and each month we're going to choose a team, and kind of put stuff up. We're going to do interviews like we're doing now, with them, which is where that interview is going. We're just kind of hoping, we figure we're a modding site, and pretty much all of these indie developers have been modders, so we feel like we should honor them. And our first indie developer of the month for April is going to be Ricochet.
Yep.
Well, it's actually us who are honored. I mean, we're just really thrilled that you guys asked us to be a part of it, and I mean, I think to us it's just we're real honored to be here, I think so.
Is there anything else you guys want to add? What is the proposed? Again, what is the proposed? I understand it's loose. Proposed date for launch, or month?
Thinking August is where we're shooting for it now. We actually are just going into alpha right as we actually speak. Chris, I think you'll have some information here coming out soon in terms of some of the formal beta announcements and that type of thing. There's also a new website being launched. I'll let Chris talk about that for a quick sec.
Yeah, well, basically, we've been working on getting a new website up and running for a while now. This will allow us to more efficiently distribute information and whatnot about Ricochet and let the community interact with us in a more a more free manner. They won't necessarily have to sign up to the forum or whatever to talk to us there. There'll be comment sections and whatnot all over the site. And we've got a few other ideas for the site that might come online later on that give it a bit more functionality and will make it a pretty cool hub to come to for Ricochet and whatnot. But overall it should be pretty cool as far as closed beta goes or whatnot. We're hoping to get that online as soon as we can, but obviously we need to get through the alpha stage first to make sure that the game is running well. And we do hope to have quite a large beta and get an open some sort of open session / demo thing going at some stage. But yeah, I suppose that's about it at the moment.
Okay.
Cool.
And if you guys have any announcement or anything coming along, videos that you want to show off, send it our way. We'll discuss it on the show and let everyone know as well.
Fantastic.
Please do that.
Will do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Ham has also asked if you guys will be attending QuakeCon.
QuakeCon?
Yeah, what conferences? Yeah.
We'll be at E3, and it looks like we'll be at Gamescom this summer if all goes well. We're working with the people at Gamescom to get a booth figured out for us, but E3 is for sure. So,
And PAX Prime possibly as well.
PAX Prime in Seattle, possibly, yes. We're still sorry about that. That was one of the other ones we're still talking to as well. PAX East, obviously, we will not be there at PAX East, but PAX Prime in Seattle, we hope to be. So,
a good chance a number of us will be there too.
Yes.
cool.
Awesome.
Okay, great. Are we good? Anything else you want to shout out about the game?
No, just thanks for having us. Do appreciate it.
If anyone has any questions or whatnot, they're free to follow us. Come to our website at ricochetthegame.com or follow us on Twitter at ricochetthegame. And we're pretty proactive about responding to any questions that the community has. We're pretty open with what we're doing and how we're going about it. So we're quite interested in engaging the community as much as possible. So yeah, check us out.
All right, yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
And note that Ricochet is spelled interestingly, Rikochet, just in case you're trying to spell it. But I put it in the chat window, which should show up on the main video, so I hope that helps everyone. And I'll throw a link into the notes in case anybody wants to find it that way.
Great stuff.
And as I told you guys, you're welcome to stick around for some of these other topics that we're going to bring up. We're
Sure.
going to talk for another 20 or
Definitely.
so minutes about games and gaming, what's been going on in the news. And interesting, right off the bat, I have one from an email from a listener, Raven, who wanted us to take a look at a tactical shooter that's over on the Kickstarter project right now. They're running down running down in time in order to get the amount of money that they're looking for. They're looking for $200,000, and they have about $170,000 right now. And maybe you guys don't know, but if you don't reach the goal of the money that's shown on Kickstarter, then the money is not awarded to the project because it's assumed not to be able to be built without that money. So if you guys want
all
to
or
see this
nothing.
game,
Not aware of that.
it's all or nothing. Yeah, that's what I read up on. So this one is being called Takedown. Takedown is the name of this game, and I do have a picture, which and some video of something, if I can find it. Yeah, I'm all set for this. Okay.
Not quite as smooth of a segue.
Not at all, no. So this is a little video that's going on over there regarding the game Takedown, which is also there's a little studio name under this called Sorellen, LLC is the studio name. And this is going to be a shooter, a tactical shooter, they're saying. They're looking for $200,000. Private investors are lined up, but they want to, but they're unsure of the market for an old school tactical shooter. So they want to try and raise this money as much as they can on their own before they have somebody else fund the rest of it and change it up on them, which is often a concern. I mean, look at THQ. If you were to be taken up by THQ, THQ wants to own your IP. They want to own the game. So that's definitely a concern, especially, Ricochet. Would you want your publisher to own your title? Probably not.
And well, it depends on the situation. I mean, it's but the idea is to try to keep it in house as much as possible. I think that's the way a lot of people on Kickstarter are trying to do it, and I think that's one of the changes that we're starting to see in the game industry is the ability to do this from the ground up, and I fully support it. So
Yeah, I mean, ownership of IP has been a big deal within the industry for quite a while, and most notably with the Infinity Ward guys. They weren't happy what was going on at Activision, so they broke off and formed Respawn, and they get ownership of whatever title they're working on, and EA are going to publish it, but EA do not have any ownership rights whatsoever for that IP.
Right. And you know what? ABXY, Ham, we also know him as, has a very good point here. With a lot of these Kickstarters, you want to be careful. You don't want to just start throwing money at games, assuming that it's going to be built. Don't do that. You have to make sure that you're investing in a team that actually has ambition.
If it doesn't reach its goal, you get your money back, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was it? Didn't we see a comic book that was going for a whole bunch of money?
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name of that, but yeah.
Right, and
There's
all they had
something
was some pencil drawings or almost stick figure, right? It was a horrible mess, and they wanted a bunch of money to make a comic book. And are you going to be giving them a bunch of money for something like that?
there is a concern with that within the game development sphere, insofar as there's a lot of people getting involved with this Kickstarter stuff. There's lots of positive energy around it at the moment, but there's little actual product has come out of it as a result. And it could happen that if the first big title that comes out, or maybe the first couple, aren't necessarily up to what they don't meet the standards that the funders were expecting, things could start to turn sour for Kickstarter then.
But I
You
see
have to
the
wonder
other.
as well how long this whole Kickstarter thing, because at the moment people are like throwing money at everything all over the place. But after a while, if suddenly everybody's on this,
Yeah, and
Right.
I think that's started to happen already.
it's gonna
Well, the question-
the novelty is gonna wear off a bit.
Exactly. I mean, if you take a look at the Takedown guys, they're having trouble reaching their goal. That's why they've released this new video, and they're really pushing hard. They're struggling. Hopefully they get it, because I think it is a great project that they're proposing. But yeah, there is a possibility that it's just being spread too thinly at the moment. There are too many new startups jumping onto Kickstarter for funding and relying on that as their sole funding avenue.
Yep.
I'm asking for 200 grand doing that to begin with is also a bit of a
Yeah, that's big.
Set the bar high.
yeah. So you set it at like 50 or something, don't you? And then if you get 200, that's awesome. But yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
it's
the
not,
reason-
it's not cheap to put together a team, and
No.
and that's even at a $200,000 mark is relatively low when you're talking about building a tactical shooter. And so it's that's good. You said he had outside sort of funding as well. I mean, because it does take a lot of resources to get something like that done.
Well, would you guys agree with me that sure you have a bunch of developers, but hopefully with an indie, they're willing to make some sacrifices. Software, you have to figure out how to get this software, and software is expensive. And then whatever you add up all those costs, triple or quadruple it, and that's probably your advertising money, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's advertising, especially on some of these bigger things, can be, just not even just the creation of a trailer, but the media placement itself. I mean, it can be really an extremely high number, and for startups and independent studios, that's the big thing that separates the little guy from the big guy, is the ability to put their name and their product out there, because you'll have a $10 million budget to do the game, but a $20 million marketing budget to make your game known.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's and it works. But you have to certainly pay for it. And that's a tough thing to have to pay for. So it just because of the price of it. So.
Okay. And also, let's see, going over to some hardware stuff, there is news going on with Razer. They're trying to release one of their mice for lefties. They want to put out a left-handed version of Naga, which, by the way, they were just saying, you know what, we want a whole bunch of people to like us on Facebook, and if we get enough people that like us for making this left-handed mouse, which in a way, it shows that they have an interest, that there is enough of interest out there for left-handed mice that they would actually build a mouse. And well, they got it. They got what they needed, and they're going to be
Somehow
this mouse.
they're like, oh crap, now we gotta build a left.
But
whose
it
idea
also,
was this?
but it also rises with the question, you know what, you have to also consider your game in some cases to work with the disabled. Can disabled people play your game, and should you also include development time into your game in order to handle this? For like Ricochet, I don't even know if your game has a, well, yes, you know what, you guys would have some sort of you would need, do you have any voiceover work that you need subtitles for? I mean, that would be like something to work with the disabled.
Yeah, it's very little though. I mean, at this point, it's just more in-game chatter stuff at this point, and but yeah, it is a huge consideration. I mean, I have a friend of mine who's has a prosthesis on his one arm, and he actually is one of the best FPS players that I know, to be honest with you. But I still to this day don't know how he does it, and because he usually plays behind closed doors, and so to me it it's something that it's something that I haven't given much consideration to, but definitely after having you guys say that, it's something that should be considered. And you know, I think that if you have the ability and you can accommodate, you know, any type of player that, you know, that has some limitations or whatnot, you know, trying to make it as easy to handle and easy to access is probably a really good thing. But I'm sure it's been overlooked. It's obviously been overlooked by myself even too at this point. So I just don't know how many people are actively doing that.
Right.
So.
Well, I know it's going to start getting more press because, for example, we have Able Gamers, which is a foundation for the disabled. They are going to have their first booth over at PAX East. So we might start seeing this thing over more often in the conferences and more often hitting the press. I don't know. You also have to wonder if there's not enough games that cater to the disabled, how many disabled are out there looking for games? It's kind of a circle.
I don't know.
Yeah. But one of our great members, Jinx, he's colorblind, and he has issues with a number of games. He'll try and play them anyways. But
Killing Floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple games out there actually have colorblind modes, which actually I don't know what they do to make up for that.
I don't know.
They modify the UI to use kind of more light-based colors rather than primary colors and whatnot. And that helps. I know Battlefield Bad Company 2 is one of the games that has a colorblind mode. I don't think BF3 has it yet. I'm not sure.
Left 4 Dead did, if I remember rightly.
I know. Yeah, I think with BC2 it was mainly the HUD and whatnot that they changed, rather than anything specifically in the game world.
Okay. So, yep. All right. Moving on to something else. Carmack has come out and said that he's working for, mods or mod tools will soon be coming for Rage. Have we gotten anything for Rage, or is this just for the 64-bit
straight out of the
release?
box? Those were going to be straight out of the box.
An empty
I think
space
they
in my
kind of missed
wallet,
the boat
maybe?
on this one.
I think so too. I think they missed the boat. Yeah, it's been too long, and the game is getting poor reviews the longer it sits out there.
Because the community can't fix it. I mean, that's typically what happens with mod tools is the community fixes the shortcomings of the developer's game. Not saying that they've released a substandard product. It's just we typically take what they've done because they're limited one way or the other and fix it. But
well, I mean, with id, don't they basically release games as tech demos? That's basically what they are for their technology, for their engine. And they seem to be less concerned about creating a 90% Metacritic game or whatever. They're just tech engine. That's what they're concerned about. But with that said, I can't think of any games off the top of my head that are actually going to be using that new engine other than id-created titles.
No,
I don't
because they haven't released an editor for anybody to see whether it's worth
using.
Well, the 64-bit executable still is not released.
Yeah.
I mean, it means I can only use like 2 gig of RAM while playing that game.
I mean, I know guys like Splash Damage and whatnot, who traditionally have used id Tech engines, they seem to be going over to Unreal now. Unreal really has a lot of go forward behind it at the moment.
Yeah. Another point, though, to make is that id Software has always come up with mod tools, usually right out of the gate, and this is the first time that they're not personally publishing it, that it is going through Bethesda. Well, personally, what was it? It used to be Activision, but I think they were just a name behind it. They weren't anything else. And now Bethesda is the one that's really pushing all the marketing for this, and they might have a bigger say in what's going on. We don't know.
Well, Bethesda actually own them now, don't they?
They own it. They might own Intech 5.
I thought they
definitely
own the publishing.
Rage.
Yeah, they own the publishing rights to id Tech 5.
Right, but they don't own id Software.
No.
As far as I know.
So if you want to utilize the id Tech 5 engine, you have to grovel to Bethesda.
Are they not all under the ZeniMax Corporation?
They are, as Ham was just pointing out.
Ham, our walking dictionary.
Yeah, encyclopedia.
Who needs the internet when we've got Ham?
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we have another thing out there. We have some. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to change up the order just a little bit of some of the stuff that I'm
Oh, that's
talking about
always
here.
fun.
Sorry.
Oh,
I know you love
God.
that. First of all, I'm going to talk about GTA 5, just as that is in the correct order. That GTA 5, there is some interesting information going out there regarding the game itself, and the information going out there is rumored because it's coming from someone who says that they were let go, or they quit, or they were fired from the development team.
Disgruntled employee, always a good source
Yep.
of information.
And they say as a result of being let loose that they are no longer bound by the terms of the NDA and they can go ahead and spew it all
Which
they
is
want.
probably not true.
Probably not true.
Not
Yeah.
even
No.
slightly.
No. So there's all kinds of information out there floating around. So yeah, guys, Chris and Jason, keep those NDAs on file.
Very important things.
Yeah, I'm sure you. Yeah, you know what? You're an indie team. You're starting out. You're going to end up going through a few people here and there, and hopefully none of them are disgruntled, but they might be. And you just got to keep a lid on things sometimes. I know.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Well, that's what's going on with Rockstar. And you know what? This happens all the time with Rockstar, and I end up every single time now. I question: is this really not a planned thing? Hot coffee, all that stuff.
Yeah.
To me, it's always like
It
an
could be a
advertising
leak.
ploy.
Well, because it was like off coffee, wasn't it? You can't
Yeah.
pay for advertising that good. It's
Right.
why they don't
Yeah.
do anything about when Jack Thompson was about, because he was advertising their game for free.
Yeah.
So that's something else for you guys to consider. Maybe you want to advertise this way.
Little controversy.
Yeah.
Right.
Call
that
your
down,
game
yeah.
a murder
Takes forever,
simulator
like
or whatever.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you could get on Fox News within about 30 seconds.
Comedy.
With their resident experts.
Yeah.
We'll
Who
point
are
everyone.
experts on shootings, video games, and various other things.
And Hot Pockets.
Yeah, and haven't even played Pong.
No,
Yeah. All right. And now that leads right over to another point, which I don't know if this is controversial or not, which is two topics up actually. There is an announcement over there from Robert Bowling saying that he has resigned as a creative strategist of Call of Duty from Infinity Ward, and there's also word of JD 2020 also no longer working with the Call of Duty series for the
Treyarch.
Treyarch side of things. Correct. Now there's some rumors which I kind of would believe is true, that they may have resigned, but they were probably offered the option to resign, or they were being let go. And it's not because of anything that they did. It seems that Activision is probably looking for a whole new means of interacting with the community, or I could say Activision is just going to stop interacting with the community. That could be true.
Think they did
That
that a
seems-
long time ago.
yeah, I was just saying that wouldn't be much of a difference.
Yeah, that seems
But
far more likely, given the community is not very happy with them at the moment, and hasn't been for a few years now.
Right, but it has been a few years. It has been a few years that they've been working with this one plan of working with the community, and at times you do have to change things up. So on one point, I'm perhaps adding some rumor to the mill here by saying what's really going on, but at the other time, I'm dispelling it by saying things have to change regardless. Whether or not they're being fired or they're resigning on their own, they're both being let go. There doesn't seem to be any kind of weird controversial thing going on here. It's time for a change. So expect something else to happen with Activision, even if that something else is nothing at all. It's going to be a change.
Well,
so
that
this is
being
going
said,
to-
Not
That is-
really. That's
That
what they're
doesn't
doing
make any
now.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, from what I hear, there may or may not be some employees that are not too happy in a certain company.
That's already true. There's a
Yeah.
lot of employee turnover suddenly happening with over there regarding the Call of Duty series. I don't want to go into detail, but it's things are happening.
Whether this has to do with that, I couldn't.
It very well could.
Didn't-
A lot of directions could be changed.
I think after leaving, Robert Bowling actually he went into some of the details of his experiences working with Infinity Ward and Activision and some of the frustrations he had there. I haven't actually seen the article yet. I'm looking forward
I
to
haven't.
checking it out, but there is something going around the internet with discussing that.
Well, whatever it is, it's probably safe because he doesn't want to end
Yeah.
up standing next to.
No. I doubt he's throwing all
Zampella.
dirt out of or throwing his toys out of the pram or anything and dirt all over the place. I doubt that highly.
No, and
I
it
mean,
would be
he-
bad for his career.
Yes, very much so.
All right. I also want to point out that there's a public stress test this weekend, although the weekend's pretty much over. I think that this is going to extend a little bit further. Let's see. This is happening with Path of Exile. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out Path of Exile. Stryder and I first picked up on them when we went to the last PAX Prime conference. We talked to a couple of developers there, and we really became interested in this game. We all
It
here
was
got
fun,
to
the little
play it.
bit that we played.
Right. It was a
It was
lot of fun.
free. It was free.
Yeah,
I
free.
couldn't.
Free
yeah,
and
well,
fun.
I couldn't get over the fact that a game of that caliber was free, like dynamic shadowing and
That's what got me. Yeah,
And-
was the fact that it had dynamic shadowing in it, like dynamic lighting. It was like, are you sure this is free?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Not even just dynamic shadows, just dynamic lighting for the entire game, and yeah, it was free. It was. I don't know. We had quite a good time bashing that around.
Do you guys think that's the next wave? I mean, for everything, the free-to-play route.
Well, it's certainly a fad, if nothing else.
Right.
But yes, you know what? It's a little too late to say that is what it's going to be, because that is what it is. Everybody
Right.
is coming out with the free-to-play version. Everybody
That's true.
being anyone that has a means of monetizing microtransactions within the game. There's a number of games out there that just couldn't do this if they wanted to, or they'd have to
Right.
invent something new in order
Right.
to do it. You look at Battlefield. You know what? I think Battlefield free-to-play is trying to do something like that. You have Battlefield Heroes. They have the right idea there. Can Battlefield 3 do it? No, but they could change it so that it would be able to handle something like that. But at
Well,
this point,
right.
you know what? They don't need to.
Well, I mean, with Battlefield 3, they're already kind of doing that right now. With the latest update, they've released what are called shortcut packs, which allow people to purchase weapons without actually earning them in game. They can throw $5 on a pack of weapons, and they have them there now.
God.
So
Yeah.
pay to level up, and that's the problem with that is you're paying to be good at a game that you're not good at.
And that's even after the $60
Yeah.
That's
layout they have at the
yeah.
start. So it's not even free. You're paying $60, and then you're paying on top of it to level up more quickly if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not forced upon you, but I mean, yeah, that could definitely be DICE shaping up to maybe Battlefield 4, maybe free to play. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yep. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for Ricochet. I think at this point, I think you're doing the right thing. Keep it an inexpensive game that anyone can jump in and play this multiplayer experience.
And that's the route where we
Yeah.
are going. But I mean, it's just as a developer, when you see the opportunity to ask the question, I mean, it's knowledge is everything. Asking the question is it's curious to me, because I just as a business owner and a developer, I just don't know what the best way is, and we're sticking with the retail model at this point. So
Well, you've always, you've got to make your money back somewhere.
Right.
yes. Well, there's ways to make money at both. I mean, it's just a question of what suits the product the best, and at this point, retail definitely suits us better. I mean, there is a lot of infrastructure that's involved in getting something like that off the ground, and you'd probably have to push development that much further just to integrate those systems. So it's definitely something to consider, but it's not something that can just snap your fingers and have done. So
Yeah. All right, and then one more topic I have up here is bringing up on PAX East, what's going on over there. There's a lot of games that are being played. This is happening in 2 weeks, is it? Isn't it on the weekend of the 15th, or is it next weekend? Jeez, I should have.
It's the Easter long weekend.
yeah, Easter weekend.
It's this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is happening in Boston for those of you on the East Coast that want to try and check that out. It is, it is supposed to be in honor of PAX Prime, which is held in Seattle in August. And this is supposedly a conference that is growing. People that have gone to both conferences have told me that PAX East is growing just like PAX Prime did in its early stages, and it's growing very quickly. They got a lot of big game companies that are showing over there. A lot of people that end up going to this. If I could, I would. It's just an impossible time of year for me regarding work. I do have friends in the studio in which I work. They do plan on going up to PAX East. However, it is also a consumer event. It's not necessarily a developer event. So if you want to be looking or showing off your games, maybe this is where you want to go. But if you're out there looking for publishers or somebody to shake hands with and partner up with, this is perhaps not the best place to go. All right, so we're going to be seeing a lot of things. We're going to be seeing stuff like Square Enix is going to have a number of games there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games or something like that. A huge
They're
number.
all the same, just titled differently.
Maybe. Well, you're going to have a Star Wars: The Old Republic, or they're going to be allowing you to play a new PvP ranking system over there before it's actually released to the public. A new game, Dust, the Elysian Tale.
Kate's booking her ticket.
No, I was actually just thinking, oh, well, she will go.
Oh, yeah.
Borderlands 2 is supposed to be playable over at PAX East booth. So if you wanted to try Borderlands, that definitely a place to go. And registration, this is the kind of conference that is very inexpensive to attend. We're not talking about E3 kind of prices where it's a few $100s, and you have to be in the industry to actually get in, which, well, you know what, the E3 pricing is just a whole confusing thing, which you've heard me go on about in the past, which if you're in the industry, you can go for free, but there's pricing available for people that can
Not
go
in the
but
industry.
It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the PAX Prime kind of prices are like $35 a day, which is really
$60 for the weekend.
If you can get that one before it's sold out. I mean, PAX Prime, you have to get that ticket the day that it comes out. But obviously, the way that I try to go over to PAX Prime is I try and buy myself a ticket, and I submit for a media pass for 2 reasons. One, you know what, I'm going to get the media pass, but I also want to make sure that I have the ticket to go just in case something happens. And I want to support them. I want to support the conference. I don't mind paying for the conference. I want the media pass so that I can talk to these people. You know what? Wearing the media pass, walking around, I get stopped rather than me having to stop them. It's a big difference. I actually get to talk to these companies and really discuss what's going on in the game. And these conferences are just wonderful. I think it's great for the companies, and it's great for the industry as a whole. So if you can go to these conferences, definitely go to them and check them out. Yeah. All right.
And they're just a lot of fun. You get to hang out with people that actually enjoy games.
Sure, you'll get to play games standing next to the developers like Ricochet. That's exactly what has happened to all these conferences that I keep seeing them at.
Yeah, they're it's a fun place to be. I mean, going to a show like that, the energy behind it, the excitement behind seeing all the new things that are out there, you just can't beat it. If you do get a chance to go, definitely get out there.
And then Zegris is posting a link that I don't even know if I want to go to find out that whatever that rumor is. So
Gabe Newell's going to announce Ricochet 2.
Is that true, guys? Rumors here. We'll ask you right now. You know what? Let's kill the rumor mill and just put it right here. Is that happening?
They've already stolen the idea and they're planning a sequel.
Love it. Definitely love it.
Yeah, no answer. We know where that's going. We'll just be talking about that for the next couple of weeks.
They've been assimilated.
Yeah, you've been assimilated.
Not even.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up our topics for this week, and in our show, we've gone our time. I want to thank you guys from Ricochet so very much for joining us and for being a part of what we're hoping turns into a big thing. This whole talking to the indie guys.
Yeah, I think it's.
Thanks for having us, and good luck with your new venture with these monthly viewings. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we've been doing the weekly thing for a while, and hasn't slowed us down. People have tried, but. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Tried. Technology is tried.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
very hard.
And we'll be releasing this show for everyone to watch and download on Friday. The first thing is let's get everybody in here to watch, and it looks like we've had, I don't know, a little over 3,000 people show up along the way, according to the stats on Stickum. And
Fantastic.
right now it's about a little over 100 people watching. And so then we'll just be releasing this thing next on Friday and pushing it out through all the other channels to keep it going.
The article should be up fairly soon.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes, so we're going
He
to
can
push
stop
this thing
questing long enough to write it.
If I can, yeah. I can tear myself away from Star Wars for more than 3 minutes.
All right,
Well,
so
thanks again, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
all right.
thanks for coming on to
Thank you.
just even talking to us.
But we, I mean, again,
Well, she's
problem.
got this
It's been
complex.
a
He's
joy.
just well, she just got back from the pub last
not
night.
just.
Another unsuccessful night where he's just pleased that people will talk to him.
Leave humans, other humans,
Oh boy.
yeah,
friend.
Yes, okay. I also want to take time out to thank our other hosts for taking the time out to chat today. GameKat, thank you very much for joining us today.
Anytime.
Welshy, thank you very much for joining and posting the show notes as we went along.
No problem.
Stryder, thank you very much for joining us.
It's always fun.
It is, isn't it? Right. All right, finally, I want to thank you, the fans of MODSonair.com and the subscribing members of MODSonline.com for making this show possible. And until next weekend, everyone, happy gaming and check out Ricochet. Go! Thanks for watching this week, and come back next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern when we will broadcast another live show. Details for this and all past episodes can be found at MODSonair.com. We welcome your feedback via email at mailbag@MODSonair.com. And please consider subscribing to MODSonline.com to support our show. The opinions expressed by individuals on this program are not necessarily the opinions of our sponsors, owners, or partners.
I could be an intern. What do they get paid?
Jinx.
Those never get
Yes.
old.